The New York Red Bulls play soccer this week. That's right. No more preseason. No more IMG Academy. No more Coachella Valley Invitational. The New York Red Bulls are back for their 30th season in Major League Soccer on February 22nd. And this is the return of the Red Bulls Experience podcast. I'm your host, Luca Richman. And I'm excited. I think we're all excited. It's been the shortest offseason in club history, and it kind of feels like that. I think we're still, in a way, catching our breath from MLS Cup 2024, but the boys will be on the road in Cincinnati for a game that will matter for the 2025 standings. We have a full preseason behind us. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the new kit. We're going to talk a little bit about the outgoing transfers, the incoming transfers. Are there any more surprises in store? The window closes in April, which is crazy. And going to preview a little bit of the season opener in Cincinnati. So, it's an exciting time. Media day for Major League Soccer's original club. The New Jersey Metro Stars, now the New York Red Bulls, is today, Wednesday, February 19th. So, getting to hear from Sandro Schwartz, getting to hear from Choupo-Moting, a bunch of player appearances, getting to see Sports Illustrated Stadium, and 3 days later, they'll be out in Ohio starting the season, and then a week from then, it's the first home game in the new era of the stadium. So, I want to start off talking a little bit about preseason, and kind of the weird notes that it left us all on. It kind of left a bad taste in most fans' mouths. Starting off an IMG Academy matchup against DC United, 1-1 draw. Matchup against St. Louis City SC, 1-0 loss. In that 1-1 draw, you have a goal from Forsberg, tap in, assist from Choupo-Moting. Great, designated player connection. Awesome. Blanked against St. Louis. We return home, play against Hartford. Have a nice little win there. Not as crazy stakes USL Championship opponent, so maybe take that result with a grain of salt. Go out to Coachella, 3 games in a week. We're seeing a bit more of the integration of the newer signings like Raheem Edwards, Tim Parker, and we open it with a win. Nice little 1-0 win over San Jose Earthquakes. Alexander Hack. Beautiful headed goal, service from Omar Valencia, and midweek, crazy 3-3 draw against Real Salt Lake. We were up 3-1, conceded 2 late, and settled for the draw there. We had another Alexander Hack header, which is kind of a theme, and I think even in the San Diego game, he had a header hit the crossbar. So this could very well be a theme. He could be, I don't know if he could break the defender goal scoring record. I think Aaron Long holds that all time. But if Alexander Hack keeps banging in goals with his height from the corner and service from Forsberg on a lot of these corner kicks too, could be an interesting set piece year for the Red Bulls. We saw Choupo-Moting draw PK, convert the PK for his first goal in preseason. And then a beautiful goal from the back. AJ Marcucci finding Julian Hall, squares it to Mohamed Sofo, couldn't hold on to the lead, and settled for a 3-3 draw. And then finally, the one result that has kind of tanked optimism heading into Saturday, losing 6-0 to expansion side San Diego FC. And whatever, you see a lot of people around the league talking about how hilarious this result is. I think it was mainly a big product of just being caught on the counter, playing, over a back line that was pretty high, the 3 center back line, and a lot of just 1v1 goals, just clear chances, and I think Sandro really saw that and learned from that result. And I posted this graphic that, and a lot of people were tweeting and posting stuff too, is that preseason results are in many ways a crapshoot. And this graphic had three real instances I can remember in recent memory where preseason results did not signify anything about the season. Going back to our best regular season ever, 2018, we had mixed preseason, but it included a 5-0 loss to Houston Dynamo and a 4-1 loss to the Portland Timbers, like pretty big losses in preseason. And the Red Bulls went on to win their home opener, went on to have their best regular season points season in club history after getting smacked twice in preseason. Then in 2022, we lost 6-1 to LAFC to close preseason and, conceding 6 goals, just like we did against San Diego. We opened the season 2-0-0 on the road. Lewis Morgan scored a hat trick in one of those games. We went on to win our first 5 road games. If you recall that season, we couldn't even really win at home. So obviously that was a blight on that season, but we had our best road season of all time. Collected 30 points away from home. Made it to the Open Cup semifinals. And finished 4th place. Our highest finish in a season since the 2018 Supporters Shield. So I guess that was our best season since our Shield winning season in 2022. And then in 2023, the flip side, we had 6 wins. All of our games in preseason we won. A lot of them we didn't even concede. I think Tom Barlow had something like 5 goals in preseason. Like, he was going crazy. It was a perfect preseason. And then we had 1 win in 10 games to start the season. We had the whole Dante incident. Gerhard gets sacked. All this stuff. We're below the playoff line for the entire season until the final minute when John Tolkien's penalty kick sends us into the playoffs in Nashville. So, 2 instances of getting smacked in preseason and having good seasons, and then 1 instance of having a perfect preseason and having a terrible regular season. And so I think this loss was shocking, but it comes at a perfect time. And you need that wake-up call, kind of, whether it's defensively, whether it's the shape, the formation, the structure, whatever. I think the Red Bulls will be better off for losing 6-0 to San Diego, and I would not be surprised if we emerge victorious in Cincinnati. I really would not. There are definitely questions about the roster, and we'll get into that. But overall, mixed preseason, finished with a 2-2-2 record. Obviously, one of those wins came against a USL side, so we'll see what that means. But overall, definitely mixed bag in preseason, and yeah, it's just a lot of good learnings for sure. I think it was positive to see some of the new signings kind of integrate, especially in Coachella, and we got to watch those games. The streams weren't perfect, but they were on local TV, and it was cool to just catch some of it, and it's always fun, kind of just watching these low-stakes preseason games and seeing the formations and seeing the players and how it's all going to work out. A lot of Red Bull 2 players featured. Jair Colawazo, not super impressed with him, but again, great to have these learning experiences now. Aiden Jarvis has been featuring insanely prominently. I think a first-team contract is definitely in his future. I would not be surprised if sometime this week they announce he's on a first-team contract or sometime before the end of the window, because he really has been playing a lot of minutes. I think there was even one game where he went the full 90 in preseason. So, and a few other Red Bull 2 guys I think were kind of in the mix there. So yeah. But I do want to talk about all the personnel shifting, because it doesn't feel like a new team, but when you really think about how many people left and how many people have joined, it kind of feels pretty different. I mean, to recap, going all the way back, obviously Aiden O'Connor, Corey Burke, Andres Reyes, Elias Manuel, all these guys left pretty early on. John Tolkien, big one. Again, we knew this was coming. So big hole to fill at left back. Dante Van Zer leaving. He's kind of found his stride in Belgium, and I think that's not surprising to me, and I'm not really salty about it. I think he was a player who, one, I think his confidence was really shaken his first season here, and I think no player really can rise above this system effectively all the time. And I think he was one of those guys. I think it was just, wrong system, wrong time, for a super prolific goal scorer in Belgium, and he has 3 goals in 4 games now, back playing for Ghent. So I don't think he's another Brian White of we should have held on to him. But I also have a hot take that if Brian White stayed, he would not have been nearly as good as he has been with the Whitecaps. Again, the system stifling these players, and Dante was playing in weird positions that weren't necessarily natural for him. So he's gone, and I think that's really mainly all the crazy departures that have happened, and obviously Ryan Mera retiring. I don't think this was official in my last podcast episode. So let's pour one out for Ryan Mera, shall we? Signs a new contract right after MLS Cup. I'm like, oh my god, hell yeah! 2 more years of Ryan, gets a contract option year. We're set. This is great. My childhood is continuing. And then a month later, announces his retirement. I would like to think that he was not forced out by the club if he just signed that contract. So I would like to think that he left on his own accord. I was a little bit concerned, when they gave him the new contract, and the fact that AJ Marcucci returned. I'm like, you have Coronel, Ryan Mera, AJ Marcucci, Aiden Stokes all on this roster. We had that for the first half of 2024, but I was just 4 first-team goalkeepers is kind of a lot. So to kind of run that back next year, I was a little surprised. But besides that little factor as to maybe why he left, I think Ryan Mera definitely left on a high and will go down as a club legend. I'm going to say he's a club legend. He obviously has not played the amount of games as other players we would consider to be club legends, but just dependable over 13 years. Even Dax McCarty tweeted, if Ryan doesn't get injured his rookie year, he maybe becomes the Luis Robles. He is the Iron Man for the Red Bulls. There is an alternate reality in which Luis Robles does not hit his stride at the Red Bulls because Ryan Mera stays as the starting keeper. And a lot of great memories with him, man. I mean, I still remember watching his debut in 2012, and he had his best season as a non-starter. I say that because he had his 2012 season. He kind of was more or less a starter in 2020 alongside David Jensen. They kind of tag teamed a little bit, but he turned into the main guy toward the end of that season. So in a season where he was second fiddle to a starting goalkeeper like Carlos Coronel or Luis Robles, he had his best season. I think he played 6 games or something and had 3 clean sheets, maybe even 4, I forget, but I think it was at least 3. And there was a period this season where he had tied Carlos for clean sheets in a lot fewer games. So I think his last game was September 7th against Sporting Kansas City at home. And look, he was an Eastern Conference champion. He left on a high. He lifted a trophy. He has given it his all. He's still going to be around the club for sure. Y'all are probably going to bump into him at the arena. I think he's incredible. I would love to see them do some type of ceremony for him. I love Ryan Mera so much, man. He was my favorite player for the past few years, and always just a super nice guy and really took time with the fans and just really embodied everything New York is about and the Metro is about. Just a great guy, great family, and I'm really gonna miss him. But I also like AJ Marcucci. I think he's shown some bright spots in preseason. I think he was playing a bit too much out of the back and not, really just clearing the ball from the box. He was kind of, passing around the 18 and a little risky, but I like what I see from him. I like his energy overall. I think he has a great charisma, and we've even seen that with Marcucci's Corner. The club is making a little series where he's the host and asking questions to other players, and he has that great personality that I really love, and I want him to bring that out in the players around him, especially on camera and things like that, and in the locker room, to be very animated and very funny and social and all that. So I'm excited for him to be the backup, and honestly, he might get some minutes. If Carlos is called up on a weekend where MLS plays through an international weekend, give Marcucci his debut. I'm excited to see him, and Aiden Stokes and the Tobias guy from Red Bulls 2. I can't even pronounce his last name, but the keeper union is pretty stacked, and I think we'll be good keeper-wise heading into this year next if Carlos keeps up his form from the playoffs. So yeah. Other notable incoming signings, Victor Bogosh. I'm excited to see him ball out. He didn't get any preseason minutes, and the club hasn't really posted too many pictures of him, but he's definitely with the team as far as I know. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts getting Red Bulls 2 minutes before debuting for the first team, but I'm really excited to see him, and I'm very hopeful. And then Marcel Morales, finally official, after all this time and turmoil and this whole saga. Marcel Morales is the left back, prospect that really seems to have a high ceiling that is going to be the next John Tolkien, hopefully. He is not yet with the team, I believe, but hopefully that'll all get sorted out, and hopefully he could start getting minutes maybe in, hopefully in March. That would be ideal for me. Raheem Edwards, great little depth piece, left back. I think it's rare that we kind of look for talent around MLS. I think the last guy we plucked was Lewis Morgan and Dylan Nealis from around the league, and so I like that. I like bringing in guys with league experience. He's an MLS journeyman in a lot of ways, played for a lot of clubs, hasn't really stayed at one club for more than 1 or 2 years, but I think he's just a really decent rotation piece, and I think when he's at his best, he can be really solid and steady. Not going to be a crazy flashy player, and we kind of saw that in preseason, just a steady guy back there. But I'm excited to see him. And then, look, I mean, you could kind of say I'm feeling net emotions with losing Ryan Mera and gaining Tim Parker, my guy. Look, he's 4 years older Tim Parker for sure, and he is not a like-for-like Andres Reyes replacement. I do think it's funny that he left. I think he moved to Houston right on the same day as Andres Reyes got signed. Andres Reyes leaves, we bring Tim back. Reyes would have been a bigger part of the back line than Tim Parker, I think, will be. But, man, I mean, just, I love these fan-favorite moves. They're very rare to just, bring a guy back that people overall like. I think he's looked semi-shaky in preseason. He's been playing enough to kind of get, a read on him. But I think, again, another stable, reliable guy to rotate. We have so much defensive depth, and that's, I think, the biggest strength of this roster. I expect the starting center backs to be, if we do 3, it'll be Sean Nealis, Noah Isla, Alexander Hack. And then you have at center back, you have Tim Parker, you have Dylan Nealis, who can kind of slot in as that third center back if you have Harper or Yengar on the wing. You have Kyle Duncan at right back. You have you have Davi, you have Curtis Ofori. I mean, he hasn't even debuted yet. Both of them haven't. But I think defensively we're pretty solid. I might even be forgetting someone. But defensively we're pretty solid. Obviously we have Marcel Morales coming in and all that. And I think we'll be good. I think we'll be chilling at the back. But Tim Parker just like seems super happy to be back, integrated right away, like just already in preseason with the boys. Obviously, no like visa issues or whatever. And I'm excited that he's a part of this club again, man. Him, Kyle Duncan, and Sean Nealis all played together basically, and I think that's it. Like 2018 to 2020, or Sean joined in 2019, but I kind of like that veteran leadership a little bit, and a guy returning, and if he starts a third of the games this season, I'll be happy. I'll be happy. I think he's a great little pickup, and I'm very excited. And is there going to be anything more? I don't know. Felipe Carbajo, everyone was kind of freaking out about him. I think they were just kind of giving him a slow start back from his injury. He did play in the final game against San Diego. The club just released a little profile of him for Apple. So, he's here. He's locked in. He's through the summer. If he's healthy, he should be our starting center mid alongside Daniel Edelman, and get Ronald Donkor those minutes. So that's kind of where that stands. And then the attack, it's really relying on Chupo, and it's something that I think I'm a little skeptical about. Overall, this has been a super productive offseason. I think that's the main takeaway. I think a lot of people in the league, it's either mixed. They say the Red Bulls have had a great offseason, or I've seen some people say, like, we do not do enough. And if you have your main offensive signing as a 35-year-old Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting, it's it's not as tenacious as finding like a goal scorer in their prime. So I think he's a big name signing. I think he has a lot of aura, as I said in the last podcast, but I am a little skeptical. I'm skeptical that he's gonna be the guy. Julian Hall has to step up. Serge Goma has to step up. Rold Mitchell, we don't really know his status post-injury. He hasn't really played in preseason, but he could step up. It's interesting. Obviously, Lewis Morgan is going to be probably playing as that like second striker role. They weren't super productive in preseason. Again, not a crazy indicator of things to come. But you have one Forsberg goal and one Chupo goal, and one was a tap-in and one was a PK. And obviously Lewis Morgan was kind of, they're easing him back into things because he had a crazy long year with his hip and everything. So there are question marks. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm so crazily optimistic for this season. I think what we did a great job of was we really replaced the pieces that we lost adequately. I don't think we reached the next level. I think we just kind of did the damage control of, like, we know Tolkien's leaving. We're going to offload Van Zier because he's not productive. We're getting rid of Reyes because I don't have to say why the club got rid of Reyes. And if you think that he knew about the transfer beforehand, it's not true. The transfer was a direct result of what happened on MLS Cup Day. And whatever, like, we lose Manuel, we lose, they replaced all the pieces more or less. They didn't go out and necessarily improve the roster that much, in my opinion. I think bringing Chupo and Hack are like good veteran leadership chemistry signings with Sandro and everything. But they don't bring this team to like the next level. They don't bring this team from a 7th place team to like a 3rd place team, in my opinion. So my prediction is the Red Bulls will be in 5th place. I think like 5th or 6th. I'm going to lean slightly toward 5th. And that's if everything kind of stays healthy. And we'll talk about that a little bit in the later section of the podcast. So anyway, this is now the time for the fan mail section, mailbag. And I asked you guys, what would success look like for the New York Red Bulls in the 2025 season? And we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it, and then we're going to talk about the kit, and we're going to talk about some other stuff, and it's all going to be nice and fun. So, by the way, I am now an affiliate of Classic Football Shirts, as you may have seen, and just wanted to do a little shameless plug and remind you all of the giveaway if you're this far into the podcast. So basically, 10% off of your order using the code RBNYXP10. You have to click the link through my bio for me to get my little commission. And the first 10 people who put in an order using my code through my link will be entered to win the Metro Stars inspired Christmas sweater that Classic Football Shirts made, and some other Red Bulls goodies that I have lying around. If you do purchase, please take a screenshot of your order receipt email and DM it to me so I can kind of keep track of it. But just wanted to promote that for you guys, especially it's jersey season in MLS, and if there's any other gear from other teams that you like, definitely check out Classic Football Shirts and get your little discount using my code. So all the info is in my link tree in my bio, so please feel free to check that out. Would super appreciate it, and excited to give away all that stuff to one of you. So anyway, moving on to the mailbag. So I asked you guys what does success look like in 2025. A lot of answers. We're going to kind of get into the general takeaways, but let's get into specifics first. So VTX Vic says attendance would be a success outside of results. Just attendance being higher. And I think we have expectations for this. One, because you're the Eastern Conference champion. You didn't obviously win the title, but really helps in marketing. I think if you have all these videos and shots of lifting a trophy, it does things. And it adds to the storyline and everything. And add to that signing another European star, not super prolific, but Choupo-Moting is a European star that has firepower, that is marketable. Add on to that, in a way, I think Sports Illustrated Stadium could, it's just kind of like a breath of some type of air. I don't know if everyone thinks it's a breath of fresh air, but it's something new, and new stuff attracts people. If you're marketing this as it's a new era for the stadium, there's new amenities, new food, new whatever, new this, new that, it could have an effect, possibly. I would love to see the Red Bulls hover around 20,000. If we can kind of have our average creep a lot closer to 20,000, maybe even be around 20,000, that would be huge. And it's gone up steadily since the pandemic, and I would just hope that it would continue, because we had our best season in 6 years last year. So I agree that attendance would really be considered as an off-field, non-results based success. Austin Wind says, some sort of silverware. We were so close last season. We need something now. And I do kind of think in a way that the Eastern Conference trophy does count as silverware. It is a cup in nature, in its shape, but it is not considered a cup. I mean, a lot of people do consider it as a cup. So that's our cup, man. We won a cup last season. Not the cup, but we won a cup. We had a trophy lift. We hoisted a piece of silverware. That is a very legitimate piece of silverware. We were champions, right? We were champions of the East for the first time ever, because we won the West in 2008. So I would consider last season a silverware season for sure. There's no really mincing words about that. I think it's a silverware season. But we have a golden opportunity this year with Open Cup, Leagues Cup, and MLS. There's a chance for 4 trophies if you consider the Supporters' Shield as a major trophy, which I think all Red Bulls fans do. So we need something now. I think the Eastern Conference title was fantastic and something we had never won, obviously, and so to get that was incredible. But we need something now. I do agree. We need more. Every year we need a trophy. That is the goal. Cole Rossi Jr. says, and this kind of is related to the last one, 4th place, which would be a fantastic finish, and a U.S. Open Cup. And I think the U.S. Open Cup is a fascinating tournament this year. in a way, it's kind of, you could argue it's not as legitimate as it was, and I do agree, because it's not open and not every single team is participating, because the best teams are reserved for the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So the best teams in the league will not be competing in this competition. So these like middle of the road MLS teams, one of them will be lifting this thing, barring a crazy upset from a USL team. And I think the Red Bulls have a very, not good chance, but it's just like all the giants are not there because they're in Champions Cup. And then some of them are in Leagues Cup. And the Open Cup's kind of like the third tier tournament. So I really think a US Open Cup push this year is very possible. And I love the tournament. I'm super happy that it's back. Obviously still in a reduced capacity, but more than last year. And I'm really excited, man. I love the Open Cup, and we're going to be on the road in the first leg. Hopefully that'll be like a really fun away day. Like I'm hoping it's like in some cool place in this area, whether it's like upstate New York somewhere, like even like Northeast. Like give me like a Vermont away day or like a Maine away day or something. Like that would be so sick. I love lower level US soccer like that. So yeah, the Open Cup is something I would really strive for, and I think that's like the most realistic trophy just based on like the competition for it. So should totally be a priority for the Red Bulls. Thiago Amaral says less injuries would be successful in 2025, and you know what? Totally, man. I mean, look, like Forsberg's injury last season, we know how much it tanked this team, and if he stays healthy the entire season, it is a completely different season. If Chupo stays healthy the entire season, I think it's a completely different season. Lewis Morgan, I mean, hopefully he's good. Hopefully he kind of had the offseason he needed to just like help his hip just settle in and not overdo it. Carbajo staying healthy too would really make a difference. I think if it's just Edelman and Stroud and Donkor, I wasn't super impressed with Peter Stroud at the end of last season. I think he has a lot of room to grow, and he was recovering from his own injury. But if you get Carbajo cooking, man, I just fell in love with him after his 2 goals in the playoffs. If you get him cooking, if Forsberg stays healthy, if the midfield is solid, this team will be set up for success for sure. So, Zach Kogan, all the medical team, the physical therapy people, like all the medical staff, sending you good vibes. Keep our players healthy. You're doing a great job. But yeah, that would be a big sign of success if we had less injuries for sure. Akos M19 says always being an underdog in a good way would be a sign of success. And you know what? I think we're already there. People aren't really talking about the Red Bulls, and it's kind of nice. I think it's like similar to last year in a way. We obviously have the expectation of we made it to the final, but a lot of people are just like, yeah, they were just a surprise, and like they didn't really improve that much, and they kind of had an average off season and whatever. But let's keep being the underdog, man. Let's keep proving them wrong. Let's keep shutting people up. Let's keep quietly having success. Quiet success is better than loud success in a lot of ways. That can be applied to a lot of aspects in life. I'm not, a therapist by any means, but just, think about that going forward, that sometimes quieter successes are more meaningful than the loud ones. So if we're a little sneaky underdog like last year, would be super fun. And this team loves being a good underdog, and it brings out the dog in a lot of our guys. So it would be fun to continue being an underdog for sure. And we have a few responses here saying that qualification for Champions Cup would be great, and there are a lot of ways to do that. I think it's like the first few teams in each conference qualify. Obviously, if you win the Supporter Shield, top 3 finish in Leagues Cup gets you there. Winning the Open Cup gets you there. So I think it's something like 9 or 10 MLS teams make it to the CCC. Would be cool to return. And you don't have to be like the Supporter Shield winner or the conference winner anymore. It kind of trickles down a little bit for the first few places of each conference. So I think it would be really cool to be back in Champions Cup and test ourselves. I mean, I'm recording this while the Colorado Rapids are playing in Champions Cup. They're finishing third in Leagues Cup. Being an MLS Cup runner-up, in my opinion, has so much more merit, obviously, than third place in Leagues Cup. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So it's very possible to like be a mediocre team and compete in Champions Cup a lot more than before, which is good and bad, but it's just more of a pathway to compete in that tournament and return to that tournament. Captain ADK says, scoring more than one goal per game, seriously. In a way, I would temper your expectations slightly because I think the murderous turnover ball that Sandro Schwartz can use is a lot more effective and it's a lot more defensively sound than playing with the three center backs, the wing backs, having more of the build-up play. Leaves you more exposed for sure. So I think I'm expecting, hopefully I'm proven wrong, but I'm kind of expecting more of a one goal win season, more or less. And it's rough. I think that's also a product of like the firepower. Like, is Lewis Morgan going to repeat himself? Is Chupo going to hit? I think if Chupo gets double-digit goals, it'll be a good signing. It won't be a great signing. But if you get Chupo and Morgan with double-digit goals and maybe Forsberg creeping up there with like PKs or something, that would be solid. And that would really like show me that the system is working in the way we're maybe not used to seeing it work, by scoring a bunch of goals. I mean, this team last year had a lot of great multi-goal wins. We won like 4-2 against the Revs. We won 4-1 against Toronto. Like we have been able to pile goals on. 4-1 against DC, rivalry week, right? So this team has shown that they can pile the goals on for sure. But yeah, I need a good like 3-0 win. Like at least once every 2 weeks. Like it would be great to just have those definitive wins, not just those scrappy scraping by on a tap in goal and parking the bus. It works. It has worked for us. It worked in the playoffs, but it's just it doesn't instill confidence as you're on the edge of your seat for the whole time. Success is like, we are handily taking care of business by scoring all these goals. So that would be successful, I agree. And those were kind of the main ones I wanted to feature. I think the overall sentiment is a lot of people are just like, some people are being more realistic about it. Some people are like, every year that MLS Cup is a failure. And I mostly agree. But I'm a big proponent for all the other trophies, man. I mean, if you can make a run in Leagues Cup, great. If you can win the Open Cup, great. If you can win the Supporters Shield, great. Like, these are all signs of a successful season. And finishing in the top 4 would be a successful season. To have the ability to host the playoff round 1, best of 3 series. So yeah, no, there are a lot of ways to be successful in 2025. It's not just we win MLS Cup or it's a failure of a season. I'd love to see us lift a little cheeky like Open Cup in September, or lift a Leagues Cup in July, or like that would still count as the Red Bulls' first major cup. It would. It really would. It would count as the first major cup in club history from a knockout competition. So don't want to get everyone too hyped about all these tournaments, but we have a shot at a lot of these. I want to touch on the Leagues Cup specifically because that was another piece of information that's new, that's exciting. The format is so much better. It's not perfect. I need there to be games in Mexico ASAP to make this tournament great. But I like the format. I like how it's even MLS and Liga MX. I like how there are no intra-league matchups, only inter-league matchups, right? So the Red Bulls are playing 3 Liga MX opponents. And if they advance, they'll play another Liga MX opponent in the quarterfinals. Fantastic. That's fantastic. That's how you help grow the sport. That's how you help foster more competition. That's how you help develop these leagues pitted against each other. Not like a random Red Bulls versus Toronto at Red Bull Arena, you know. So we're playing Chivas Guadalajara, who we last faced in the 2018 CONCACAF Champions League, and they eliminated us, so some revenge there. Then we're going on the road to Cincinnati to face Monterrey, which is kind of funny, but there'll be a big test on the road for sure. And then FC Juarez at home to round it out for the phase one. I also like, in a way, how like only 4 teams from each league advance. I think that raises the stakes. You eliminate you essentially eliminate 24 teams in phase one. That's like so unlike MLS or Apple. You know, they usually like to drag all these things out, you know. But only 8 teams advance. If you finish in 5th place out of 16, you're done. So it's really rewarding the best of the best in the league phase. So I'm really curious to see how it's going to play out. And, you know, obviously it's like randomized which teams, well, not really randomized. It's based on like tiers of whatever performance and league season play, whatever. But like, I'm really excited for Leagues Cup, honestly. I can't even lie. I think last year I was just like, oh, great, here we go. Like the groups of 3 teams and whatever. But this is like 3 games in a week. You know, top 4 you advance, and you're 2 games away from a final. I think it's a cool format. Leagues Cup is getting better slightly each year. Obviously, we all kind of want it to be scrapped. Would love a reality where it's Open Cup and whatever, and you know, more breaks for our guys. But at the end of the day, if this is not going anywhere, the format is improving year by year. If they eventually have games in Mexico, this tournament will be fantastic. Fantastic. It's not perfect yet. It is better this year, and I'm very excited for it. So, I don't know if that's realistic to think we'd be one of the top 4 teams to advance, but it is, you know, a possibility, and we'll see what form the Red Bulls are in by end of July, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. I am actually very excited for Leagues Cup. Besides, like, the weird fact that like we're going to Cincinnati to play Monterrey, like, whatever. That's always going to be a weird little quirk. Like, Montreal and Toluca are playing at Red Bull Arena. Like, Frankie Amaya will be returning to Red Bull Arena with Toluca if he's still playing with them, but not playing the Red Bulls. It's always one of those weird things. And I want to talk about the new kit too, the Stone kit. And it's a reminder that I think trust the leaks in the sense of like the design of what the leaks show is 9 times out of 10 going to be the actual jersey design. But a footy headlines picture on a white background or a random picture on a hanger in like a Dick's Sporting Goods does not paint the whole picture of what a kit is. And I think when the leak came out, everyone was like, bro, this is terrible. This like is, you know, worse than the Daniel Patrick kit. And yes, I will always call that kit by its proper name. And yes, that is the most underrated kit in club history. And yes, that jersey does not get the respect it deserves. We won a trophy wearing that jersey. We won our first trophy in 6 years wearing that jersey. So put some respect on that jersey's name. I think it was cool. It wasn't great, but it was cool. I think it was cool and unique, and I loved the colors. Everyone was saying this is like a mix of the Glitch kit and the Daniel Patrick kit. It looks like a brown paper bag with splotches on it. And I think when the actual release came out, people were like, it's still not like my favorite kit ever, but they were like, it's not that bad. It grew on a lot of people. I think it grew on me a little bit too. I like the black accents. I think that's really cool. You know, tapping into like the black side of the brand. Obviously we did it with the dark mode kit, and we have it with the legacy kit now. But kind of keeping that black theme, but then having that like the tan beige color, it's interesting. The whole Stone kit name and like Stone Street in Manhattan being the origin of the grid, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I looked up Stone Street and I couldn't really find anything that like signified it was like the start of the grid in Manhattan, so I might have to dig deeper on that. But I think like that is cool that that's kind of like what it's rooted in, like the grid pattern. It's a unique like homage to something in the metro area that's like unique. Yeah, unique. It's like it's a cool, like, if you get swept up in the marketing, it's kind of cool. But overall, it's like you know it's just an interesting little like change, like a different color that we haven't really seen. We saw it kind of with the glitch kit, like an off-white vibe, but that was gray. So this is like a more tannish look, and the shorts are going to be that too. So we'll see it in action in Cincinnati. That'll be the first time it debuts, and so I'm excited to see it. I like the black text on the back too. The Adidas template, I know say what you want with the Adidas template, and I get how like every kit, it's weird how every kit has the same Adidas template, but like I kind of like the little decals and like the shoulders and the sides. Like I think it is a nice little like throwback to how jerseys kind of looked in like the mid 2000s, and like same with the travel hoodies that the all the clubs have, like the little like black like trim. It reminds me of like the 2010, like early 2010s or like late 2000s, and I think that's like kind of fun. And I didn't expect a design to be like that, so I'm curious to see how it'll be. I'm obviously saying this wearing the the notorious 3-striped 2020 look that a lot of people did not like. This is the MLS 25 year anniversary All-Star Game kit from 2021. So yeah, the Adidas template is a thing, but I think the Red Bulls have a decent kit combination this year. I'm curious to see how it'll just look on the field. Like we see it as the leak, we see it as the marketing drop and everything, which is obviously with like being put through Lightroom and filters and stuff and everything. What does it look like on the pitch? That's the final like piece of info that we need to really make an informed decision about the kit. So I like it. Not my favorite kit ever, but I think it's cool. I enjoy it. So excited to see what Stone can do for us in 2025 and 2026. So yeah, that kind of brings me to the preview of the season opener. I think Cincinnati is an interesting opponent. We don't like playing them really. They hate us. We have a lot of history between the two clubs. We beat them both times last year. We don't have Frankie Amaya anymore, obviously, who, they loved booing at TQL Stadium, so that'll be the first time we're playing there in a few years without Frankie. They still hate our guts, though, and they're always complaining about us and our play style and everything, but I think they have a strong team. Kevin Denke, great signing for them. I know they lost Lucho Acosta, but they brought in Evander from Portland right away, and so they already have like another baller at the 10 position who's going to cook for them. Roman Celentano is still there. This is going to be a good team in 2025 for sure. And I think it's a great test to start off the season. In a way, I kind of like facing them right away as like a pretty, good opponent to test ourselves early and kind of set the bar at where we're at. I wouldn't be surprised if we came out of this with a win. I'm kind of predicting a draw, like maybe kind of a cagey game. But I think I'm kind of thinking it's going to be like preseason, those years where we got smacked. It's going to be similar. I think we're going to have a good little run to start the season. Not like, maybe not win the first 2-3 games, but like I could see us picking up a point in Cincinnati. I could see us going home in the home opener and getting 3 points, and I could see us kind of steamrolling it that way, kind of similar to last year. So I'm predicting a 1-1 draw, but I would not be surprised if the Red Bulls were able to snag all 3 points. I really wouldn't. I think there's a lot that can click. I also think like a lot of these guys, Chupo obviously hasn't played his first game in MLS. Like, curious to see what the lineup is. They weren't super productive in preseason, as I said, but I'm curious how like the game environment will feel different when it feels real, when you're playing in a real stadium, with a real game that has weight to it. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It feels like more of an understated start than previous years, I think, because there's less that's like so crazy new. But it's gonna be a great gut check. There's been a lot of like question marks and unknowns, and I think after the first game we'll really have a clear picture, not preseason, of the look and feel of this team for 2025. And then with that in mind, and with knowing what the team looks like against Cincinnati, we'll all rally March 1st. Better see all of you there, man. I mean, it's going to be great. It's going to be cold probably, but we need everyone there. And just to start the year on a great note, giving a warm welcome to all the new guys, and just starting our 30th season off in the best possible way. So that's it from me. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Nice little recap of preseason and looking ahead to our 30th season in MLS. Super excited to be bringing you all content throughout the rest of the season. And it's going to be an interesting year. I think the East is really, really stacked. Atlanta are on the map again. They're insane. Chicago is like a dark horse. Miami is still Miami. Columbus might be tanking, losing Cucho Hernandez, losing these pieces like that. It's gonna be interesting. Charlotte, I think, is an interesting one to look out for. Wilfred Zaha, there are a lot of teams putting in the work around the East. Cincinnati, like I just mentioned. So it's gonna be an interesting year, and I think it's definitely a more competitive conference than last year, and so I'm excited. It's gonna be a grind. It's gonna be, Saturday is the start of, as we know, could be a 10-month marathon of games. But so excited for all the ups and downs with you all. And let's get it. Let's go Red Bulls for the 30th year. And yeah, let's get it done. 7:30 p.m. Saturday, February 22nd against FC Cincinnati. Season opener. Let's go Red Bulls. Let's do this. It's been Luca. I will see you all next time.